out the solution challenge.
Let's do this.
Okay, I'll present my screen.
Welcome to the Google Developer Student Club's 2021 Solution Challenge. The mission of this challenge is to use Google technology to solve for one of the United Nations' 17 Sustainable Development Goals, aiming to end poverty, ensure prosperity, and protect the planet. Win cool prizes, mentorship from Google, and swag. Get help along the way from Google at training events, code labs, and hackathons. Submit your solution by March 31st, 2021. Register today. We can't wait to see what you build.
Let's get started. Seorang developer karena website bersama Android developer.
Awalnya Hastu bukan merupakan seorang yang percaya diri, namun setelah dia ikut DSC, dia menjadi lebih percaya diri dan lebih tertarik untuk mendalami skill di bidang pemrograman Android.
Saya belajar membuat aplikasi untuk membantu orang yang berpikir bisa belajar seperti saya.
Saya bangga dengan Hastu karena selama Hastu join di DSC, dia memiliki progres yang cukup signifikan.
Aku sudah bisa jadi dari DSC.
When I came to first year, I found it difficult navigating a lot of facilities on campus. Most first year students, they found it a major challenge. So I said, okay, this is something that we really need to solve. The DSC is a community where students who are like-minded come together to learn technologies in cloud, Android development, and web development. So after a few workshops, I figured that we could solve accessibility for first year students. We decided to use the mall as a use case to build a navigation system using AR technology. At first, people were like, this is really a complex problem to solve. But then after we broke the problem down, we realized that all the technologies we had to use, we had already learned them in our DSC workshops.
When I heard about it, I was like, David, I need to join this project because I was lost basically the entire first academic year. And that's what DSC does. It gives you a project and it makes sure that you are well equipped to work on the project.
So we had a lot of volunteers and we broke them into teams. First, we had a Blender team to get a 3D model of the building. Then we had the Unity and Scripted team who got the models and made it interactive and available to the Android team, who built the screens and the app and used Firebase, which stores user data and for business analytics. And we had a UI team who created the designer sets and all the dynamic interfaces you see. Last, we had a documentation team who put everything into one file to make it available to the open source community.
My name is Paul and I study chemistry. I got inspired by attending one of the DSC seminars. I'm actually very impressed about my brother's journey here because I, as a computer science student, I just have to focus on the PC parts, computer building apps, but he has something else to do. But he's still taking some time off to help us, and he's really doing a good job. Now I can build Android apps. That means I can use that as a part-time job, and maybe chemistry as my full-time job, or maybe the vice versa.
There were times that we had to meet in the evenings. There were times we had to meet early in the morning just to get the project working.
It was hard, but then we looked at the bigger picture and realized that, okay, we can do this. So, yeah, DSC is a family, and it's about the learning of teamwork and leadership.
What we've built is not a perfect app, but we've come a long way by being able to use the knowledge that we gain from our DSC workshops. My God, this is cool. Who wouldn't love this?
Saya dilahirkan di Bojonegoro. Ibu saya mendidik saya boleh bermain, tapi bermainnya itu nggak boleh jauh-jauh. Terus saya melihat kakak saya kebanjiran, yang paling parah itu tahun 2007, di mana rumahnya itu sangat tenggelam, banyak korban jiwa yang ditimbulkan, dan kakak saya itu kehilangan.
Kemarin ya lumayan, kemarin. Ya.
Kalau airnya semakin tinggi kan, nggak bisa lalu lintas kendaraan kan nggak bisa lewat, kita biasanya pakai perahu. Palingnya kalau udah agak parah lagi kita ngungsi.
Warga juga pasti resah, kalau enggak sebelumnya belum diberitahu kan resah. Kalau sudah diberitahu kan nanti ada persiapan.
Saya ketika kuliah di PENS ini, saya pertama kali tahu DSC itu dari Dana. Seharusnya kita bisa menghindari hal buruk terjadi ketika kita mengetahui apa yang akan terjadi. Dana membantu saya sekali dalam hal tersebut bersama tim untuk membuat aplikasi L-Float.
Alatnya itu bersifat kayak misal di sini bakalan ada banjir, dari pemerintah bakalan langsung, tidak berdasarkan yang sebelumnya berdasarkan data kami, itu berdasarkan dari WhatsApp. Jadi setelah itu penduduk bisa ke posko terdekat. Di sini ada lokasi-lokasi poskonya. Terus kita bisa kayak ngeset arahnya belok kiri maupun belok kanan, itu ada. Karena kita memanfaatkan teknologi arahan juga dari Google. Oke, sudah selesai?
Oke, selesai.
Oke.
Kemudian kita mencoba ke sana, kita menunjukkan ke warga Bojonegoro.
Kalau sekarang kalau ada aplikasi ini kan bisa langsung masuk ke HP-nya masing-masing. Jadi semua warga langsung otomatis langsung tahu.
Di sini kita milik Balai Desa
Mulia Agung,
Petunjuk
ya.
Arah.
Ya.
Di sini kita bisa lihat di posko ini ada berapa banyak orang.
Membantu banget berarti ya, sangat amat membantu.
Iya. Ini rencana emang akan kami rilis ke Bojonegoro.
Oh gitu ya.
This is the power of DSC students all over the world. We can learn and teaching together and also to solve local problems.
Dengan adanya aplikasi L-Float ini, saya merasa sangat senang sekali saya bisa membantu warga masyarakat Bojonegoro, terutama untuk kakak saya.
Good evening, DSC. So, are you guys having a good night? Have you had your dinner or anything? Anyway, welcome. This is Funky Flutter February, day 1. It's gonna be pretty groovy, funky, great. So, hello. Next to me, this is Lou from DSC UPV.
Hello, JJ from DSC USLS.
And we'd like to welcome you all again to Funky Flutter February, where we'll take you from zero to hero with Flutter. And we're gonna do that in the funkiest way.
For our event, we're honored to have our speakers so experienced with and passionate about this wonderful piece of tech from Google, and it's one of the most innovative ways to develop mobile apps, and it's only getting better.
Flutter is simple, efficient, and clean. All the code you need for both iOS and Android is all in one base. It's wonderful, not just for the tech industry, but even for the Solutions Challenge. Now, you may have seen those promotional videos earlier, but just to give you a refresher, the Solutions Challenge aims to use Google technologies to solve one of the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals. This aims to end poverty, ensure prosperity, and protect the planet. You can win prizes, get mentorship from Google, and find more events like this, or code labs and hackathons. So you can register at go.go at slash the solutions challenge. It's going to
And
go
with
in the comments right now. Right there.
Okay. And with that, we're excited to show you the basics of Flutter and what you're about to make with it. So hold on to that fun, wonderful guests because we're about to bring you through the grooviest Flutter experience of your life. Here's a question for our guests. What songs or genres do you like listening to when you're working on your projects to get you in the zone?
Tell us your answers in the comments. And if you'd like to listen to some music together while you're working on your Flutter projects, or if you'd like to interact with the speakers a little more, who you'll meet in a little while, join us on our Discord, which could be found in our card, which will be linked in the comments right now.
Okay, so it will be linked in the comments, and we're gonna say our answers for this. So usually I like listening to, sometimes it's math rock, sometimes it's hardcore or trance, but those are the main genres I like listening to get me in the zone. It's because trance can get pretty repetitive, and I kind of like having that rhythm when I'm working on my projects. How about you, JJ?
Oh, that's interesting. For me, I prefer listening to things like metal and video game music. It might be off-putting to some, but sometimes the screaming makes your blood boil and makes you focus a lot more on the tasks at hand. And video game music is really cool because it's really designed to help you focus. Like, although it's made this help you focus on video games, it helps me focus on my work too.
All right, so I actually listen to video games as well, So with that said, I believe our speaker is ready. So all right, JJ, introduce our speaker for tonight.
All right. So our speaker for tonight is Harvey Sison. He is a full stack software engineer and a technopreneur. He is currently a core member of Flutter Philippines and is a platform engineer for Exora Technologies Incorporated. He has worked on multiple freelance projects. One example would be becoming a product manager for UpChoose, which is a fast-growing e-commerce startup in San Francisco.
So let's welcome Sir Harvey to the virtual stage.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Hi, evening, Sir
Hello.
Harvey.
Good evening,
Am I
Sir
loud and
Harvey.
clear?
Yeah. Cool. All right.
So hi everyone.
Yeah. Hi. So before we begin with the stuff, we'd like to ask you a few questions to break the ice a bit. So, what have you done so far with Flutter?
I would say one of the most recent projects I've been doing in Flutter is number one. If you know the usual event that we have, the 30 days of Flutter. So Flutter launched an event which Flutter Philippines is currently doing. Right, so I've been doing the side projects with 30 Days of Flutter. But last year, if you watch the K-drama called Startup, right? So I tried to use TensorFlow Lite in trying to do object detection using Flutter. So you can check my GitHub later. The code is there for you to see. But yeah, it's an object detection app for using Flutter.
Oh, so thank you for the wonderful answer, Sir Harvey. We'd also like to ask you some stuff like the first one's what drew you to Flutter, and our second question is for your talk tonight, which specific aspect of Flutter are you looking forward to showcasing?
I would say what moved me to Flutter. One of which is I want to enter the mobile space, right? I've been with the web field for quite a long time. So I tried to explore mobile to React Native, and then with tried out Flutter. So to see the two hybrid um, frameworks that is supported by big companies. React Native is supported by Facebook, and while Flutter is supported by Google. So yeah, I think that was one of the reasons why it delved into that space. And something that I'll be talking about today is how to get started with Flutter. Right? I know everyone here watching is very excited with our topic today. But yeah, I just want for developers and non-developers, career shifters even, to really get a head start through my workshop. So you will learn about the widgets, how Flutter is built, like, and how you be building a Flutter app with me.
Thank you so much, Sir Harvey, and we're excited and will now give him the floor for his talk. We'll look at Flutter from above.
Okay. Hi everyone. So this is Flutter from above, but I'm um entitled my slide into cloning a funky mobile app. So why beginners like you can develop production ready applications. So hi everyone, I'm Harvey. I'm a software engineer, and you can follow me at Twitter, Harvey Jay Sison. And without further ado, let me start my talk. So what is Flutter? Flutter is a UI toolkit that allows you to build beautifully designed and high performing apps with improved developer productivity. It allows you to target multiple platforms using a single code base. So let me, delve deeper later on each bold aspects of this phrase. But beautifully designed and high performing means that Flutter is a framework that helps you build great applications with great user interface. It has really built-in items for you to use. At the same time, improve developer productivity. As I said, I'll discuss this later on. But what is this says is that for developers, having a hard time, maybe refreshing or trying to see the effects of your code, you can Flutter was able to design it in such a way that it will really help improve your developer experience. At the same time, you can create lots of applications with Flutter with just one single code base. Now, start with Flutter is multi-platform. So Flutter is not just for mobile apps. It has for Android, yes. It has for iOS, yes. But now it has for web as well, and even desktop. So I've personally tried doing each of it. So for example, with iOS and Android, I was able to for iOS, I was able to ask for help, but for Android, I was able to develop Flutter apps with it, which is the basic form of Flutter. Then if you activated web, you're able to launch it in Chrome. At the same time, for desktop, I was able to have this app. I can open it, close it like a usual desktop application, and it runs at 60 frames per second. Now, here's the 4 pillars of Flutter. So, Flutter has expressive user interface design. This means that it has really easy to learn widgets. So, imagine it as a set of code or library prepared for you to get if you need it. For example, if you need to get a text, you need to get it. If you need to get this aspect of the mobile, you can get it. And as you would know, if you look at all your application, open your Apple Store, open your Google Play, most application would have the same dimensions, right? Would have the same um, interface design. So Flutter was able to centralize this for your easy usage. For example, if you need a certain card, you can use it with Flutter. There's already a widget prepared for it. If you need the certain card or the certain interface, it already has something prepared for you. So everything is really developer friendly for you to use. Next, fast development. So what's good about Flutter is that you can do hot reloading, hot restarting. So what do I mean by this, right? So for hot reloading specifies that, for example, if I click save, let's say I just change a particular variable in the code, or for example, if I change something in the app, then automatically my emulator or my phone or my app can change the aspect or the changes in the code. For example, if that Flutter demo homepage on the right side is updated, maybe I wanted to make it to color green, and hot reloading means that it could once I click save, it will automatically change the blue into green. The same time, if you want to do hot restarting, this means that you're gonna restart the whole application. So this means you don't have to you just have to click a certain button in your keyboard, wherein it will definitely restart the app. You don't have to stop the code and run it again, which is gonna take lots of time. And iterate changes to the app on real time. So this is, as I said, it's really fast development. You can really update. Every save means that you can always see the effects of what you have did to the app. Next, native experience. So Flutter, as I said, there's already a very expressive user interface, right? At that point, it was already ingrained all the usual natural mobile gestures that you can think of. Scrolling, transitions, everything has already developer friendly APIs for you to use. Right, and for example, let's say if you open a pop-up in Android or in your Android app, Flutter can automatically do that as well for a iOS app without for you to worry about the code. So native experience is taken into account. And lastly, Flutter of open source. So it's really backed by Google. So you can go to GitHub, check all the repositories needed there, and you can join communities such as DSC, such as Flutter Philippines, for you to ask for help, for you to really get to learn more about Flutter, or maybe go to YouTube as well. There are lots of people teaching about Flutter nowadays. Now, so let me give you an example, a usual format of a Flutter application. So you import something, you run a certain application, you call a widget, which I will discuss later on, and then there it showcases a nav bar or an app bar with the text of welcome to Flutter and a body in it, which has that's it. So later on, we're gonna do something like that. And yeah, I want you guys to internalize how Flutter is built, like how Flutter is structured, because all throughout the your coding development experience with Flutter, this will be the always your usual parang coding convention. Now, so some useful commands for you to use. Actually, let me change my share screen, right? So I'll stop first and share my whole, I would say, my whole, what do you call this? My whole screen, so that you can follow along with me. So as you can see here, right, your script that will help you when coding. So one of which is Flutter Doctor. So I'm hoping that everyone watching this, live stream right now, has already downloaded the Flutter in your in your in your local computer. If not, you can go to Flutter what do you call this? Flutter installation. You can search it in Google, so everything there is for you: Windows, Mac OS, Linux, and Chrome OS. So for example, I am in Windows. I could just go to Windows, and all the setup is ready. I usually just go with the git clone. I clone it. I use stable, and then update the necessary paths. So you just read through it if you have it updated. But for these purposes, I'm assuming that everyone watching this really wants to get started with Flutter. So let's do Flutter Doctor. So for this, you have to go open your command prompt, which is this one for me, and then I just have to go Flutter Doctor. So if you would see this one, it will load, it will do something about it. But while it is loading, which you can see right now, it will show you, a primary tool for necessary help. It will show you a path to how to fix things, what you need to update, what are the items you need for you to get started with Flutter, right? So Flutter Doctor, as you could see, I have Flutter. I'm connected to the channel master. I have an Android toolchain ready. I have Chrome ready for Flutter Web. I have Android Studio. I have VS Code as well. And for a caveat, right? This means that you can use both Android Studio encoding Flutter application at the same time VS Code as well. So I'm gonna show you to you both on that. Then connected devices. So right now I have no issues found. So with this, it is safe to assume that I am ready to code with Flutter, right? Now next, so this is how it would look in Windows. Now I'm not in Mac, so it was something like this. And if you have items that are not yet completed, it will showcase like this. Like for example, when you're in Mac, you need to install all the Android toolchain. For you also need to install iOS. You have to install Flutter plugins in Android Studio and Dart. You have to install the plugins as well in VS Code. And yeah, so there are lots of things you need to work on before starting, creating a application with Flutter. And I want to give a note that sadly for Windows users, you can't develop iOS apps. So it's really designed in such a way that iOS apps should be developed in iOS environments. So yeah, I think that's a sad reality. But maybe just invest on a Mac. Yeah, so other Flutter commands. So as I said, you can do Flutter create Flutter app. So for example, let's say I want to go to my desktop. Which is my desktop. I want to open my Visual Studio Code, right? For example, okay, not that one. Yeah, for example, if I want to create an application, so create. So if you look at this one, where's my PowerPoint? It's Flutter create Flutter app. So this means Flutter app is the name of the app. So I just have to go back to this one of Flutter app. It will create all the things that you need in there. It would create the things needed. So you just have to go to cd Flutter app. And then you would, if you're already inside the folder, so to the structure, so Flutter was able to create all the necessary files for you in Android, right? So you don't have to worry about that. At the same time, for iOS as well, it's ready to prepare. But as I said, you cannot run iOS in a Windows environment, only in iOS Apple environment. So a caveat on that. And everything you need is in the live folder. So this is where we're gonna test it out later. You can have test scripts also to see if your app is working. At the same time, since I am using the channel web, I can activate all the necessary items with the web, right? And lastly, pubs and the camel. So this is the items where you can change your name, your description, your environments. You can add dependencies, right? You can also add dev dependencies. So what's the difference for this one? Dependencies. These are items or libraries which you can use, and when it is built or explored for production, it will still be usable. But dev dependencies are only items you use for development purposes. So once that you build it for production, it won't be downloaded. It won't be set up for you. If you want to create an application using Android Studio, you can just open your Android Studio code, install the necessary plugins, and you can just click create new Flutter project. So for this one, let's say I want to let's say Flutter application next, Flutter app. Okay, let's say that's the thing. I don't have to my Flutter path, but yeah, I'll not the scope of my workshop won't really go with Android Studio. So as you just to show you, this is how easy you can create a Flutter app using Android Studio, right? You just have to click create new Flutter, assuming that you will have the plugins downloaded, which is Dart and Flutter. Yeah, so I can just update it if needed. Yeah, I think that's all for this segment. Next, if you want to go Flutter devices, if you want to see which devices that you have, for example, if my phone is connected to my PC right now, right, you can see the devices connected to your PC or to your laptop. But for example, if you're going to use an emulator, which I will use for this presentation, right, so you just have to launch Flutter emulators. So right now I was able to set up Google, right? Google Pixel with an API 30. So how, if you want to add that on your own, what I do is go to Android Studio, configure AVD manager, then create a new virtual device, right? So to launch this one, you just have to go Flutter emulators, launch and that code, and then it will launch the item for you there. So this is the mobile app. So this is the emulator that I wanted to show. Oh, sorry. Next. Now, before we really delve into coding these items, right? Let's start to get to know about Dart. So Dart is a programming language. It is a reactive language that's similar to Python in terms of ease of coding. It has, you know, the power of Java under the hood. It's client optimized. It can be used for multiple platforms, mobile, desktop, servers, web applications. The same time, Dart is an object-oriented, class-based language with C syntax. So it's based on the C style and can compile to either native code or JavaScript. So I think that's something important with Dart, right? So the Dart can be transformed. It can transform itself into native code, which is the iOS, Android, and desktop applications. At the same time, it can also, translate to JavaScript, which is really pretty cool actually. And Dart is statistically typed, which means while declaring a variable, we need to specify what kind of variable it will be. Like for example, if I want to declare a string, my name, right? So I'm declaring that my name variable would always be a string, but at the same time, Dart can also be like JavaScript. So this means that it can infer what type you will assign. For example, I would like to declare it as a var my string, my name, and I put it as a string. Then all succeeding codes after that would know that it needs to be a string, right? So for example here, so go to dartpad.dev. So here's an example, right? So go to dartpad.dev and then print hello world. So I can just copy this and cut this. Hello world. I can just run it. Will show in the console, and there. That's you were able to to use Dart to create your first ever application called Hello World, right? At the same time, if you go to this one, this is what I was saying. You're declaring variables, right? So for if I were to copy everything here, and put it here, this means that I'm declaring um, my number as an integer. I'm declaring double as my double. It's a double. It's a floating data type. At the same time, I'm declaring my string as string. And if I assign it to something, since we didn't assign anything to it, so if I print it, for example, my number, I print, you have to add a semicolon, right? So my number, my double, my string. If I run that code right now, it would showcase null. This is because you didn't declare anything here. So if you want to declare something, let's add 4. It's an integer. If we want to add 5.6.0, we add a string of funky, right? Funky. So when we run it, since we're able to declare it, it will run. So anything that if basically what's gonna happen, it's gonna be the integer type or null if you didn't declare anything, right? Next, if so we were able to do this. It was an integer. We're able to convert it, right? For example, if you launch a double but assign it as an integer, and since you assign it as a double, it will automatically result to 9.0. The same for grades as well. If you convert it, it will always be double type all the way. Now for this one, if you want to assign something, right? So for color, we know this is both a string. The variable here, the var fave color, was able to know that it should be a string, right? But when you reassigned it into 100, since it knows that you previously assigned it as a string, right? Then it should always be a string and can't be a integer. This is what this slide wants you guys to know. And for this one, we're gonna do some variables, right? So for boolean or true, it will always be true, false, or null. So if you assign something there, it results to false. If you reassign it here, it will be equal to true. Yeah, so I think this is something that we can skip for now. But yeah, hope that you've learned something. I would say the simplest aspect of Dart, which you might be using in your application in Flutter, and this will also help reassigning widgets, assigning variables to what it is needed, right? So widgets. So what is Flutter? According to Flutter team, it's all about widgets, right? So what's this? What this buzzword, as they say. So widgets, you have two. You have stateless versus stateful. So widgets are basically like all the components you would be using inside the mobile app. So there are two different types. There's stateless and stateful. Stateful widgets are sensitive to what happens within its boundaries and gets rebuilt when a change is detected. So what do I mean by this? Right? So for example, if we assign something as a stateful widget and something has changed, it will automatically update that aspect of the code. At the same time, stateless widgets are not state sensitive and remain static, remain the same throughout its life cycle. Okay, next, stateless widgets. So let's give some examples, right? So some which you can use also, so like some aspects you can use, like the text hello. If you want to display hello in your you call this in your application, you have to call this widget called text. If you want to add some alignment, if you want to justify it to center, you text align center. Same time, if you want to style it, you have to assign it to a style attribute and call the widget text style. We can make it into font, bold, font size, and even the font family. Next, container. So what's the container widget? This pertains to like an empty, transparent quadrilateral inside your application. So you can insert any items in here. You can insert a text. You can insert any widget, as you could see in the screen. At the same time, you can assign colors. So if you want items here to be color white, or if you want to add a custom color with the hex code, you have to do 0xFF, and then the hex code for white is 00000, right? Next, if you want to align things, you want to align it to center, alignment center. If you want to add margins, so if you want to add margins, remember, margins are spaces outside the container. So this means that I'm adding space in all sides, top, bottom, left, right, 70 pixels, right? So on the lower part, which is edge insets dot only, so I'm assigning only top and right. Right, top and right pixels. So 10 pixels on top and right, 10 pixels to the right. Next, if you want to add, symmetrical, horizontal, or vertical, so this means that I'm adding 70 pixels, 70 in the x-axis, and in the y-axis is 30. The same is the case for padding, but to give you the point, right, padding is spaces within the container. Right, so I'm adding 70 pixels in all sides inside the container, or in another case that you're adding top and right pixels inside the container. Next is symmetrical as well. So for more details, you go to the widgets container class. And if you want to create a column, so what do I mean by this? Like if you want to arrange all your widgets into a column, so you have to call column with attribute of children. Why does it call children? Because you're gonna add lots of widgets in here. So in this case, we're adding text hello world, right? And you can look at more information at api.flutter.dev/widgets for more information. Same time, if you want to arrange it into a row, like it's arranged, in a horizontal way, you have to do the same thing, just change it to row and add all the widgets you need. And you can also check it at the widgets. And if expanded, this means that it will occupy the remaining aspect of a certain code, right? So that's expanded. Okay. Stateful widgets, right? So for stateful widgets, this is how you set it up. You create a class of a start screen extends stateful widget, and you override it with those states. And yeah, so to explain, here's the explanation I'm gonna give. So the name of the widget again is start screen. But now it overrides the create state method instead of build method, which returns the instance of the start screen state. So what I'm saying, that widget called start screen, we're gonna use the state, whatever state we have under the start state screen. Because since now we extend this start state screen to state, which means that it will be the start screen state will be like used as a template for start screen. And I'm gonna show it back again to you for you to visualize. Okay, moving on. Now this start screen state overrides the build, which returns a widget. So what we mean by this is that start screen state will have a build method here, which has the widget. This is where you can define the UI, which is stateful. So we're telling the code that anything within start screen state, the UI defined here is stateful. So we can technically build it any numbers of times. Basta may magbago na state within that UI. Gets? Okay. Now, how can you call the build method? So how do you build this state? You just have to call set state method to build the method, which will in turn redraw the widgets. This is the most important method you will need to use with any stateful widget, right? Yeah, moving forward. So for example, right, this is our format. That's the first part. We extended to a stateless widget, right? So we created a variable which is an integer of x called x starting at 0. And we created this widget with this UI that has, a center. Basically, it's just a container that places everything in the center. And inside that is a child of a button where every time you press would change the state or would update the state, right? Into on press, every time you click it, x equals x plus 1. So if you want to showcase the number by clicking it, you can just technically create a text widget and input the value of that x. And yeah, it's hands-on coding time. And I'm pretty excited for this, right? On this moment, I want, everyone, to guess what famous application will we clone today, right? What famous app will we clone today? Please comment it, first like the page that you're watching this in, comment in that live stream the famous application we will be using, and last we'll be cloning, right, or we'll be redoing, and then share our humble live stream. I'll give 1 minute for this. Yeah, so the question here is what famous mobile application will be doing today? Okay. So let's see the comments. Oh. Okay, comments please on what apps we'll be using. Okay, awesome. Thank you for those comments. I've been reading them now. Let me set it up first. Okay, there. Yeah, and I think wow, we have Shopee on the list. Now we won't do e-commerce site e-commerce app for this. That's really a whole new level. But yeah, I think for this session, I'm happy to share that we're gonna do Twitter, right? So this is let me showcase what we're gonna do today. Yes, so we're gonna do Twitter. Okay, where is it? Twitter. Yeah. So while waiting, let me prepare the code. So this is the Flutter app that we'll be using today. Let me prepare the code that we'll be using. Okay. Yeah. So for this one, since we're gonna be using Flutter and Flutter, we're gonna clone Twitter. Now, please open your VS Code or your Android Studio where you really want to code your application, and follow me. Right? Okay. So let me stop sharing screen and share the code that we're gonna have. Right? So okay, how do you stop? Okay, I stopped it. Share screen. Now we're gonna go with my entire screen. Yeah. So for this one, since we have this one, right? So now that we have this one, I remember we created a mobile application called Flutter app. So what this means is that this is the name of the application we're going to create. But if you know that we're going to create Twitter and you want to recreate it, you can just go Flutter, create the name of the app that you need to work on. So maybe Twitter app, right? So remember, we use underscore usually in creating, or camel case. So you can do it also like that. But I really prefer it to be on underline, right? So yeah, or underscore pala, underline. Anyways, yeah, so that's one. So for this, to run the code, since I was able to launch my pixel here, you just have to go Flutter run, and it will run the code for you. Okay. So let's just wait for it to run. It will run the code. But for this purposes, let's open this one again, and go to font awesome, icons, pubsec.yaml. Yeah, so we're gonna use this one. So for this one, basically we're gonna use, if you look at the slide, we're gonna have some icons like the home page, what do you call this search button, this notification, even this floating button here, and even messages. We'll also have this messages retweeting, the hearts, well as all this, the share button. So to do that, we use this font awesome Flutter plugin, right? So I just copy this. So I have copied it. I go to bobset.yaml and include it here, right? So since I already have an automatic extension, it would it will install Flutter awesome, a font awesome Flutter. But if you want to manually install that, you have to Flutter pubget, right? So pinakita mali. So Flutter app and then Flutter pubget. There, so it's gonna download everything, install it in a pubsec.yaml. So everything that you need is already prepared here. So yeah, not yet loading on my end. Okay, but yeah, let's wait it for you to load. On my end, it's gonna take some time, but hopefully on your end, it's already up and running. Right? Actually, I can open an application here. Oh, it's opening now. And let's wait. The classic problems. Okay. There. Yon. Hallelujah. Buti nag-load na. Okay, so basically, if you look at the code and if you've been listening to our workshop, it's running on a stateful widget, this one, right? Shucks. It's running on a stateful widget wherein every time you click it, it will update the key. It will update the My Home one because My Home is a stateful widget. Right? So if you click this one, if you look at saan na ba yun? Yung kanyang button, the increment counter. So if you go increment counter, it has a state and it just adds the counter variable here, plus plus. So it will just click, 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 click. So that's a state update basically. Right? Now, but for these purposes, we won't be doing that. We will be doing a mobile application for we call this using Flutter, right? So what what you asked to do is to really I would say delete everything. Like I would delete everything. Mostly thing that you need to use is material.dart. Basically, this is a library. This material, basically, Flutter has an embedded material UI design. So it's Google's technically widget library that you can use. So I'm just gonna add void main like your usual Dart pad. Wait lang, I have to open dartpad.dev. So it has this void main, right? So we're adding a void main and we're saying that we're gonna run an app using the material app, and then which has the home. So what we're saying here is that the home button we need to showcase is what we're gonna name it. So for example, on my case, I'm gonna call it my home page, right? And then I'm gonna add this one. But the problem here is that walang my home page, right? So right now we're gonna do a stateful component, right? A component widget. So you have to go class my home page extends stateful widget at stateful widget, which will have an override. I'm gonna spell in an override ko. Override, and then we're gonna have this my home page state, which creates state, and then plus to this new state, which I'm gonna copy lang. Yes, and then after this, I'm gonna create a class of which is extends to this my home page. Okay, and then after that, we're gonna have, we're gonna create this dot override, and then after that, we're gonna have this widget build, and then build context, which we'll call it context, and then we'll have a return function. Let's say for now we're gonna create a container, right? We're gonna create a container with a child of x, maybe hello world. Okay. Yeah. So so basically it's prepared now. What's the problem with this one? It's stateful naman ah. Oh well, I think. Sige, if the current problem, I can just go back to it. Yeah, so this, alisin ko lang tong inbuilt na to. I'm gonna put this here. I'm gonna add material app para sigurado, and then home, and then my home page, and then for this one, yeah, so that one, and then I'm gonna change this one, and my home page ready na pala. So just I don't need this one. I don't need this yet, right? So may scaffolding siya. But yeah, I don't need those. Yeah, so basically this is the app in a way, right? So scaffolding, and then I'm gonna create a body na lang, which has this center, which has a style of text na lang, hello world. So if we go with this, wala siyang semicolon, save, it should reload. Oh, what happened? My homepage has no constructor. Wait lang, what happened? Wait. Yan, there. Whew, kinabahan ako dun ah. Anyways, there. So, that's the start, right? But for this purposes, we're gonna, since we're gonna make this a stateful, we're gonna have this parang counter then, which I would call int selected page index. So this means that if we go back to our PowerPoint presentation, right? There's a state change from going to home page to search page to notification and messages, right? So to do that, what we have to do is have each state, and this is what it is for. Now we go to body. So for this one, we're gonna also have pages prepared. So this is like a specific type. I'm telling it's an integer, but for this purposes, I want the code to infer what I'm gonna add. So basically, I'm gonna add an array which will have the following. So user feed page, we're gonna have user feed, tapos search page. After siguro na search, next dito, notifications page. And then siguro last would be messages page. Yan. So ngayon ang problem is wala, diba? Like, it's an error because here's what we need to do. We're gonna create a folder called screens, or actually people call it pages. It's up to you. Like, no problem. And then each one, I'll create siguro feed page, feed.dart page. I'll create search page. And then I'm gonna, search.dart. Ano ba? So search notifications.dart. Yeah, .dart. And then, ang tawag dito yung last messages, messages.dart. There. So for that one, we now have this one. So basically, the idea here, we're gonna create, I would say, stateless widgets, right? So how to create a stateless widget? First, you have to copy this, go to maybe feed, because we're gonna use that material UI widgets, and then we're gonna create a class of anong tawag natin kanina, search page. So search page extends into a stateless widget. In that stateless widget, we're gonna have an override one, which let's just copy here. There. So let's just have this one. There. So I don't wanna go with this one. I want to return a container na lang, which would have a child of actually center na lang kaya. Yeah, let's have a center na lang. Center with a child of text. Maybe this is what you call search page. Yeah, search page. What's this? What's the problem with this one? Oh, there. Whew. Okay, so basically that's one. I'm just gonna copy this. Yeah, this is not search page. This is feed page, a user feed page. This is user feed page, right? So copy. Let's copy this again. Search page. Okay, let's copy this. Search. Let's copy iMessages to. So let's put it here na lang. Tapos balik tayo dito. This is gonna be messages page. So messages, copy, and then notifications. Yeah, so notifications, we just copy this, remove the page, and then there. So now we just have to relate it. Actually may problem pala dito, so what we have to do is change it to my home page kasi we called it my home page na, right? Yeah, so anyways, for side trivia. So for this one, since we're able to create it, I'll just click quick fix on my end and then add the feed dart. So this is gonna say it's Flutter, and then we call it Flutter app, right? And inside that folder called screens, we're gonna access feed dart. So I'm gonna copy four more. So that's search. After search, we're gonna go with notifications and then messages. Boom. Now, if we restart the code, like it will always will be the same because we didn't change what's gonna happen in the UI, right? So to do this, what I would do is that I need to do a change of state kind of thing, right? So for this one, since we're using we're using scaffolding, we're gonna have let's have inside this array of pages, we're gonna pick which selected page index we're gonna use, right? So this means that since we started with 0, right? So if we load this, we're in the feed page. If I change this as our main starting point, it will be feed page. Why did I hard restart it? How did search page change ba? Yeah, it should change. Yeah, so you that one. But what I'm gonna do now is what we call the bottom navigator bar. So here we have this bottom navigation one below, right? So to do that, we're gonna have the bottom navigation bar. No, is what we're gonna have a child. We're gonna have items. Bottom navigation bar items. I'm checking if okay. And then from here, we're gonna have. Let me check if I were able to download all the needed object at YAML. Yeah, I think we should be able to use everything that we need. Okay, wait. So for this one, bottom navigation bar, ayun, items. So inside this items, we're going to use what we call the bottom navigation bar item. So inside that item, I'll use I would say an icon. So since we remember we download pubsec.yaml Flutter awesome, basically we're just gonna import it, right? Import package this one, and then Dart. But if we do that, it's not gonna it's not a use import. So we're gonna use it now. So to use this, we're gonna go font awesome icons. Ano ba una home page? Yeah, so after the home page, we're gonna have a color. So let's say yeah, so wait lang. That's one. Okay, what was the error that I have here? Okay, so icon, we have to put it in an icon widget. Sorry, so child icon, and then we have a color wherein if you selected it, right? If you selected a certain, like if you go for 0, which is the start of an index, it would go with let's go with it colors that blue. If you don't want it, you want to go colors that gray. Yeah, so gray. So am I error dito? Insert. Yeah, so that's one, and then we're just gonna copy that. And then for this one, since we have this aspect, this would be ano ba next? This is a search. So the search aspect would would be search. This next would be a notification, that's a bell. And then afterwards is envelope. Envelope. So this is gonna be 1, 2, and then 3. Medyo masikip. Tanggalin ko tong isa. So this, that one. Oh, may error ako. Isn't defined. Why isn't defined? Let me restart it. Okay lang. So this bottom navigation. Wait, what's weird? Dart line 282. Position 9. Wait Okay, that's super weird. Ay, nag-close. Fudge. Okay. I'm gonna open it again. Yeah, actually, while we're waiting, I'm gonna rerun the code. I forgot that we have to add a label for each bottom navigation bar item. Right, so you can add a label here if needed, but for this purposes, we don't need anything at all. Right, so that one, and then that one. Now, what's weird is why is it not working? It's able to install the Flutter awesome widgets. It should be here. Oh, hindi nag-launch yung emulator. Wait. And then after you launch the emulator, you have to run it. Okay. Yeah, so now I'm running the code. So I think I'm just experiencing technical difficulties. So let's rerun it first. Oh, see? Oh my god. Okay, anyways, see, it was able to work. This is the feed page. Oh yeah, it can't change, it can't change because we haven't add what we call, on state changes, right? So what we do with that is we're gonna add an on tap code. So we're gonna add an index here. So whatever it's added as an index, we're gonna do a set state. Right, so in this set state, we're gonna go kung ano yung selected page, it goes for that index. There. So if I hopefully hot restart it, there. So it's technically already a state change, right? So this is a simple stateful widget that we're able to do. So we did the home page basically, or the feed page, the search page, notification page, and messages page. But for this purposes, now that we have finished the stateful widget, I'll close first the share screen that I have and open some questions that we have right on the stateful widget. You can comment it in Facebook or whatever place that we're showing this in, right? If in 1 minute there's no question about stateful widget, we can move on with creating, I would say, the widgets inside the screens. But as you would know, we have limited time, right? So we're just gonna focus on feed.dart. So how do we do that? So let me share my screen again, close Android Studio, open screen, my whole screen, and then there. Now that we have this, as you would see now, we're gonna focus on this part of the page, the user feed. So the user feed basically is what I would say as the main component that will showcase the things that we need, right? So we're gonna do a stateless widget here. So to do that, I'm gonna remove this this one as the center. We're gonna use scaffolding. So what's basically scaffolding? Basically, we want to have everything leveled. You can know more the definition online, but we're gonna use scaffolding for this one. because I wanted to have, I would say, an app bar. So what's gonna happen if you have an app bar, for example, is that if I wanna background color of colors that white. Now that I have white, I will have a title of text, maybe home, right? So we want to say that we're in the home page, and then we're gonna style it, textile, and then we're gonna add colors, colors, no capital to, color that black. Yeah, so I colors that black. Yeah, so that's we have here. We forgot the semicolon here. Now that we have that one, we're gonna have, I would say, after the title we have the leading. So let's show you what this is all about. So we're gonna have a leading of icons dot account circle. So as you would see here, no, we use icons lang. It's not material not font awesome. This means that we're using the native icons in material design. So if you want to use, so this is how it would look like, that bilog na yan. So if you don't want that one and just want to focus on the material UI instead, so you can just do with this one. And yeah, for leading, and then maybe I want to add the color here, color of colors, that gray, and then ano ba ba, size, yun, may size dito na 35.0. So it will have a size here. And then yeah, basically pang good to have lang yan. So if you want to see how it look like, where is it? There. Yay! Okay. So, leading basically siya yung nandito. Right? Alam ko if you go action ba yun? Actions ata yung dulo tapos yung children. But yeah, so let's go with leading na lang muna. And after this, since we have the app bar, we're gonna have the body. And then, in the body, we're gonna have this list view dot builder. Right? So, this list view dot builder, we're gonna have an item count. Basically, we're gonna try to automate the things in it. But if hindi naman so if this is the point, what we can do here is that, wait lang. So what we're gonna do here is that item count. Inside this item count, we have an item builder. Ayan, ayun na pa yung item builder. Hang on. Okay, wait now. So inside this item builder, basically, since we're gonna build something, basically this list view is gonna, it's like a row, it's a column that has unlimited scrolling, right? So yeah, that's what we want kasi. So for this, we're gonna have a context, which is the context of the application as well as the position. And then we're gonna do Twitter tweet. I'm gonna create a widget called Twitter item model, which is a tweet, and then tweet helper get tweet position. Yeah, so for this one, I'll give you more information on this. But yeah, so we're in the caveat. So medyo, di ba, parang, we want what happened. So the stay put will do what on this. So we're gonna have this return column na lang. Return column. So this column would have a children of widgets, and then yeah. So before we move into creating the items inside this column, which is basically going to be easy, let's create a folder called utilities. So I call it utils. I'll call it, since we have a model here and a helper, got helper.dart, and then that ano ba yun? Model.dart. So for this purposes, this since it's not really I would say the focus of the application, we can just go to my Twitter clone, which is basically everything that we need. Go to release, and for this purposes, we're gonna go with the utilities. So let's just copy what's needed here. So basically, this one is a static file of all the things that we need. right? So if I go to what's under under to helper. So inside helper, we're gonna have this one. Yeah, so we're gonna call this Flutter app, right? So this is basically it's saying that this is all the things that we have, the text that Google devs. So to model that one, we're gonna have a model here. So what this says is that inside this model we're gonna have a tweet, we're gonna have a username, we're gonna have a time, we're gonna have a Twitter handle, and we're gonna pass that into this Twitter model. So basically it's saying that if you call a Twitter item model, it should have a tweet, username, time, and Twitter handle. And helper is gonna help us on that. So this means that the Twitter, the tweet is basically this one. The username is basically this one. This is the time, and this is the Twitter handle. Yeah. So basically, it's an array of all the tweets that we'll be using, and then the statistic model. So with that, I'm just gonna quickly import this one so that walang problem. Yeah. So now I was able to import them. So basically, what we're doing, if we go back on this one, is that we're creating each item already inside this code, right? It's imagine that that's how usually Twitter gets its data, right? It's gonna pass a certain API, which maybe it's on an array or something, right? So yeah, so that's what we're gonna call tweet, and then we're now gonna design it. So padding, we're gonna have this one of a padding, wherein it will have a padding of, let's say, const edge inset all of 4.0, and then inside the child is a row. So why are we adding as a row? Because as you would see, this whole thing first, in if we go a step back, it's the picture and this item here. So we're gonna have a row. Inside that row is a cross axis alignment. So this means that we're gonna place everything in the start aspect. After that, we're gonna have a children. Inside the children is a padding. As again, let's say const edge inset all, maybe 8.0. Now that we have that padding, we're also gonna have a child of an icon, and then kokopyahin lang natin yung ginawa natin last time na icons dot account circle. So basically what I'm doing here is this part, right? I'm creating an account circle here. And then I'm gonna set na siguro yung kanyang color, colors that gray, and then size of, let's say, sinet natin is 60. Yeah, so that's a 60. Now, after that, what's gonna say is that, di ba, meron tayong, ano kanina yung expanded. It's gonna get the remaining space. So, kung ito 60 size lang pixels, di ba, meaning ito na yung next yung nandito, right? So for that one, we just have to in the aspect of this one, we're gonna have to call expanded, and inside this expanded, syempre, is a child, and inside this child is a, it's a column, right? It's a or basically it's a container. So you can add a container first, and then we can add a child here na meron tayong rich text. So basically, rich text is a widget that you can add as many items in this as possible. So if you add here a text, and then inside this text is a text pad, right? So you're gonna add multiple items here. So for example, if you want to add a text span of so meron tayong text span ng, let's say, since we're gonna add a text, which would be tweet dot username, and then the same time we're gonna style it with text style, maybe let's go with font weight, and then font weight bold, and then font size, ano ba to? Size 18, and then colors that black. And so we created a rich text type. The same time, since we wanted it to be children, we can have this one. Create mali. Tama ba? Yeah, so no, we can create this one and then create a new one. And then imbes na that one, it will have 16 pixels naman, and then let's say gray naman yung color niya. And pero imbes na username yung kukunin natin dito is Twitter handle. But also to do that, lagyan naman natin ng space, right? So nilagyan natin ng space on that one. And then inside the span, we're gonna add, diba, the time. Kasi meron tayong this one, that one, and the time. So let's say the time would be this one. So we want it as a text, and since we want it as a text, lagyan natin a space, and then to add that time, we're gonna do this, tweet that time. There, and then let's say if we want to have the same color, same lang naman sila. And then, from there, we're gonna have, if nagkaroon ng overflow, basically, like if kuwari nagkaroon ng sobra, we're just gonna make it into a text overflow ellipsis. Yeah, so if we refresh that, so ganyan yung itsura niya. Right? So, si Java, si Google, si Android Authority, Google Devs India will have these aspects of the code. Okay. And then I'm just gonna go with that. And then, yeah, so after this, siguro lagyan na natin ng flex 5. Yeah. So, flex. Yeah. So with that, after this, we're gonna have another expanded column, right? So we're gonna have another expanded column, and inside the expanded is a padding. So inside this padding of a child of an icon, in this icon will be icons. Icon will have will have icons that expand more, and inside this expand more is colors that gray. Okay, from there we're gonna have a padding kasi nga it's a padding tapos walang padding, diba? So for this one, I use cons edge inset symmetrical 8.0 tawag dito. Yeah, or 4.0 na lang kaya. 8.0 na. 8.0. Oh, horizontal, vertical. We're gonna use vertical for this one. Yeah, so, and comma. Yeah, so basically, naglagay ako doon ng expand more. And then, after that expand more, siguro let's just have, ay dito pala yun. So we're gonna have flex mo na lang ng 1. Then after this padding, we're gonna have a new padding ulit, where inside this padding we have a cons edge inset symmetric of vertical 4.0, and then inside that one is a child of a text, which is the mismong yung tweet niya, diba? Tweet. So yung tweet niya will have a style of text style, and then font size of 18.0. There. After that, we're gonna have a new. So I think we can refresh naman. There. So if you want it, oh yeah, we want to add it to the row, diba? So we have to put it here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, actually you can just try it and refresh. Kasi sobra pala siya. So you know, we can just go after this pala there. Refresh natin. Hot restart. Yeah, so so it's really just fixing the items in it, right? After that, Yeah, I think everything's the same. Kailangan lang siya ilagay sa gilid. So, yeah, ayusin ko na lang later yan. And then, what you need to do na lang siguro is just add the remaining, tawag dito, the icon. So, to add the icon, what I would do is create a padding of, the same siguro, same na lang to, same. Yeah, after that, we're gonna have a child, and we're gonna have a child of row, kasi in that one row we're gonna have a children, wherein we wanted na yung alignment niya in the x-axis would be spaced evenly. Yes, so with that, lalagyan natin siya ng children, ng icon. Inside that icon siguro would be oh yeah, I want to use the font awesome font here. Copy this, go up, include this here. Since I want to use font awesome icons, and then let's say we're gonna use comment, pero I wanted also colors gray. Okay, gray, and then let's just have many of these. So if una is comment, after ng comment would be retweet. Meron naman after ng retweet we'll have heart, and then ano ba yung next, heart, and then share out. So if we, what the error is there? Kulang ng that one, refresh. Yeah, so meron na yan. Ang kailangan ko lang gawin, ipasok siya doon sa container. So, saan ulit ilalagay ito? Expanded. What happened here? Sino bang gamit to? Si row. Tapos si padding. Tapos si children. Hindi, dapat hindi doon yun eh. So, text, container. Wait lang. Balik ko na lang siya dito muna. Tapos, ang gagawin ko, gawa na lang ako dito ng column. Hindi, may column naman na. Hindi yan. So, saan ba? Expanded user right. Gawa ko ng column. Okay, saan ba itong rich text na to? We'll have a row, have a children, and then inside that rich text, someone nag-stop yung rich text na yan. Rich text, and container, then expanded. And then inside the expanded, be another expanded. Wait, saan nang galing tong isa? What's this one? The children of this one, this row. We don't need the row. Kasi yun yung first part. This one is the row. And then we're gonna remove that row. We're gonna have a column here. Inside that column, inside it, dito dapat nga. So this column na lang. Tapos children, inside this children, we have rich text. Rich text, and then we're gonna have this expanded. So natin yan, expanded, rich text, column, rich text. After na expanded, we're gonna have these two paddings here, paddings. Tanggalin natin itong dalawa. So we can have expanded here. It should work. There's no problem. Yeah, I think it's because it went to a row. Okay, gets. Wait lang. Yeah, so I'm having a problem where nakalimutan ko saan ako nagkulang. Wow, hugot. Oh well. So right now, I'm just gonna turn over this. I'll just check again later kung saan ako nagkamali. Basta ang kamali ko dito is dapat ito dito sa loob ng row. It should be here, di ba? Baka naman kailangan sa loob ng padding to. Which is which text. Yeah, so I'm having a problem. Actually, ko ng column kaya to. Column of children. This one and then padding. Mali yun. Anyways, yeah, so for this purposes, what you can do is go back to my slide. I have this cheat sheet prepared. So I coded this before. So you can just go to an online one. So what we have here is CodePen. So when I open this one, there's a CodePen application which has everything prepared. So if you pa na siya set up, or you can go offline. So in this offline code, it has everything you need, right? So the iOS, the lib, it's in the release branch. If you want to do it on your own, you can go to the master branch, which is basically the whole boilerplate na Flutter code. But if you want to go to the release mode, right? So everything you need is here. Kaya nga, if I just copy this whole thing here, right? And then just paste it here, and then just change everything here into Flutter app. Right, so basically what I prepared before, I can just hard restart, and then yeah, ayun no. So I don't know, I'll check na lang sana ako nagkamali kanina, but yeah, everything's prepared here. And then you just have to add a floating button. So in here, if you go down, in the app under to na scaffold, you just have to put floating action button, then add action button. Wala pa siyang state change, right? So you can add a state change if you want, right? And then go to the add that icon. Yeah, and I'll call our host for today to really turn over these things. As I said, this is the things that you would need for the cheat sheet in this. I'll leave everyone on redoing the the other pages, the search one, the note tips, and the messages. And thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much, Sir Harvey, for that wonderful introduction to Flutter.
No problem.
So, Sir Harvey had just showed us the beauty and the simplicity of the Flutter kit. It lets you build beautiful apps with wonderful performance, and it's not just for Android, but it's also for iOS, and it's also being developed for web, desktop, and it has an expressive UI for increased productivity and open source. So, and then he walked through us with Flutter on creating a simple app, which you can see is the Twitter clone.
And it's simple, it's straightforward, and it has high performance. It's all in one package, and it's in demand as well. If our guests have any questions to ask him, please do so in the comments, and we'll give our guests a minute or two to ask their questions, and we'll start going through them.
So comment down below.
Yeah, just comment. Kapagod this day.
Yeah, how's your day, Harvey?
How was your day, Sir?
Yeah, my day was insane. So actually, this whole day, like how many hours ago, I was in the province. So if you don't know, my province is in Pangasinan. So parang road trip kami yesterday during the holidays, and then diba this is like mga 5-6 o'clock, diba? So I told my parents we have to drive fast to go back to to Manila, because that's where I reside. And yeah, so it's from Pangasinan. From Manila is 4 hours depending on traffic, 3 to 4 hours. So yeah, we left there around 10 or 9, and then medyo na traffic. So really fun yesterday. At the same time, really tiring. Before this call, I had calls as well. So yeah, just waiting for the questions.
Yeah. All right, we have one question from Nix Dorgu. How do you normally deal with making your Flutter apps responsive, Sir Harvey? Says
If you want to make your actually a good question, no? Like we did an application. I know that's media query off. So in Flutter, there would be a class called for media query. So this means I so you can just go to api.flutter.dev/flutter/widgets media query /off.html. So it will showcase to you like all the things that you need to do for media query. So with that, you can adjust a certain aspect like when you're in a tablet mode if your app is going for tablet, right? But usually, the beauty of iOS app, Android apps, or mobile apps, it's really designed for a certain screen, right? So you just have to look at that and it will just automatically. So in use cases, usually you don't really have to go media query, right? All the time. But if needed, there's already an API available in Flutter which you can use.
Okay, so there's your answer, Nix. So if anyone else has any more questions, don't be shy. Comment it out. Get your answers straight from Sir Harvey while you have the chance. And yeah, we'll wait for another few minutes. Uh-oh.
Excuse me.
Okay, so I'm guessing there's no more questions. All right. So if you have any more questions that you weren't able to ask today, you can always go to our Discord server, and Sir Harvey is also present in the Discord, and you could ask him in the Ask Speakers Anything channel.
Yes, and also we'll be sharing a Code Labs challenge on the Discord server, and those who complete it will receive a certificate.
All right. So thank you everyone for coming here tonight, spending your night with the funkiest, flutteriest event available right now. So that's it for day one of Funky Flutter February, and that's Flutter from above.
And stay tuned for day 2 and day 3 as we get you from zero to hero with Flutter.
Funky, groovy.
Have a wonderful evening, DSC Philippines.
Bye. Do that. Do it.